This meeting is being recorded in all meetings. Calling the meeting to order at 6:16 p.m. For the purpose of the recording, may I please get an audible response from the board, starting with Vice Chair Buckner,
Present.
Board Member Front,
Present.
Chair Wizik.
Present.
Thank you. Moving on to item 2, agenda review. Any change of items? No. Moving on to item 3, statement of conflict of interest. Any conflict of interest on any of the items?
None.
No. Moving on to item 4, approval of minutes. Item 4A, meeting of April 24th. We do have a comment from Cordell.
Just Mike. So, good evening, Chair Wersick, board members. I am Cordell Handler, and for the record, I'm a Richmond resident. So, for the minutes you were about to approve from the April meeting, so I had to go back to the recording, and under the second line where I had said to review the port administrative classification, there's a typo. It's supposed to be port administrator classification. So I had to go back to the recording, and I said, I did not say port administrative. I meant to say it's port administrator. So I had to go back to the recording. So if the board can, approve the minutes with that correction, and that's it.
Thank you, Cordell.
Can we motion to make that small change?
Yeah, you can motion to approve with that change.
Okay, then I'll move to make that small change and approve the minutes with that change.
And I'll second.
Voting to approve the minutes of the meeting of April 24, 2025, with a change to port administrative to port administrator classification. Starting with Vice Chair Buckner,
Yes.
Board Member Front,
Yes.
Chair Wizik.
Yes.
Meeting of minutes approved with the change noted. Moving on to public comment. We do have one public comment in person from Cordell Handler.
So good evening. Oh, can you start the clock? I kind of messed up. So, there you go. Thank you. So good evening again, Chair Wersick, board members. I am Cordell Handler, and I have passing some items to be placed on the September agenda. So first one is to review the classification for Economic Development Coordinator. So I just got that one from the city of Martinez. And for the one in Emeryville, the September, the Economic Development Coordinator 1 and 2, because I had spoken with the department head back in the beginning of the second week of this month, and I had mentioned to her about she needs some more positions for economic development because it generates revenue into the city. And so I'm hoping that these items will be placed forward for this on the September agenda. And then since I'm up here, so I was hoping that I was requesting that they have an update regarding the code enforcement officers, because if you recall when Kevin Tisdale spoke, that's correct, that the officer does appear in court, supposedly. So I'm hoping that an update will be coming forward regarding the code enforcement officer too. And that's it.
Thank you, Cordell. Moving on to item 6, we don't have anything on the consent agenda. So moving on to item 7A, establish the classification of community ambassador. And we have Human Resource Director Sharon Taylor, who will present the staff report.
Good evening, Personnel Board, Chair Wersick, Vice Chair Buckner, and Board Member Front. Sharon Taylor, Human Resources Director. I bring to you today the new classification of Community Ambassador. This is a part-time position, so I do want to make sure that you're aware of that. We state here that the unit is in the general employees unit, but it's actually a part-time hourly position. The reason for bringing forth this classification is Historical to a certain extent, we used to have a position called park rangers, and that classification would be stationed in our parks. They would assist with events. They would clean up, they would open the bathrooms because those are typically closed if there aren't events, and make sure that they were tidy and then close them after the events. We wish to expand that role a little bit more to provide an aspect that involves community outreach, to provide support to our residents and to visitors, to support events from setup to breakdown, including there may be some aspects of cleanup. We did a study, a market research, and determined that we wanted to align with a classification that is present in some of our local cities. They have a community ambassador classification in San Francisco, Oakland, and Berkeley, and they fulfill the same duties. I do understand that the cleanup portion of the job classification seems to be the main focus, but really the main focus is to provide customer service and to have a point person for our residents, either at our citywide events or even stationed throughout the City Hall Plaza or other major thoroughfares to be a resource. And also in the instances where there may be some blight or some litter or something that needs to be cleaned up, they have the capability to be able to do that. The job description is a representation of the duties. The job classification is expected to sit in any one of our departments that may need this support. So it may be in Public Works. It could also be in Economic Development or Community Development. And it would either be an on-call or a regular part-time position. It depends on the needs of the department. So that closes out my presentation, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. I have a question. When we're talking about, on page 4 of the report, interact with vulnerable individuals with varying challenges in a respectful and empathetic manner. So we're trying to manage those who may decide to park at our parks and not want to leave, or how would this individual or the ambassador be able to enforce those regulations at this time?
So this position may be on the front lines as far as interacting with individuals. It may not always be with people that are parking illegally or in areas that they shouldn't be. It could be some of our unhoused population that need access to additional resources. So that individual will be tied into community partners or other city departments that provide those direct services to help align that person with whatever resources that they need. In addition, if there is an instance where they are encountering someone who is violating the code or violating, any of our requirements as far as the use of our facilities, then they can call upon public safety if needed, or community response program ROC if needed, depending on the circumstance.
So they're not to engage, they're just to advise.
They are expected to advise.
Thank you.
Good evening, Sharon, Ms. Taylor. So would there be eventually more than one?
Yes, there, depending on the need of the city, it would probably be several. At this point, we don't know exactly what is needed. We just know that there is a need. Each department will be able to determine, based on their budget and based on their events or their needs, to have a class that can assist in this manner, and they can hire accordingly.
So none of this, do we have other departments that clean the bathrooms and kind of do the maintenance and some of the stuff I see here? It seems like we have departments
We do have departments, but like I was stated earlier, we had a dedicated position called Park Ranger that was in this role and it's been phased out. So we have depended on other classifications that may not have this, I guess, direct job responsibility in their classification to help support us. We've used recreation employees to help open and close restrooms and help with facilities. We've used Richmond Build, which is one of our job readiness programs to help with setting up stages and things like this. And so, of course, we want to create a pathway for employment for those individuals and also to have like a dedicated position.
I guess it was just the name ambassador that kind of threw me off a bit.
Yes, historically, it has a different connotation, but in our search, our neighboring cities use the term ambassador. I think it's a way to show that it is a position that has some authority in a sense, and that they're a person who can assist and support and can be a direct line to the city. You know, a friendly sort of person, kind of how our ambassadors are, you know,
Right.
at the federal level, I guess.
Thank you.
Do you have any, do you know why the park ranger role that we used to have was phased out?
I don't really have a lot of information about that. It was a very short period of time, many years ago, that they had the role. I believe that one of their issues is that it wasn't broad enough. And then it just seemed to be problematic in some areas as far as finding people that would be interested in doing the job. There was also a amount of like foot patrol that was involved and different things like that. So it was eventually phased out, but I don't have the history.
When was that? Just curious.
I would say 15 years ago.
Okay. Got it.
Ms. Taylor, how about, where's the jurisdiction of the ambassador? So we have East Bay Regional Parks, we have Shoreline, we have none of that. They don't,
So the city of Richmond, we have over 100 parks that we own and that we manage and oversee. It would be like in the Richmond Marina area for sure, Nickel Park. We have a lot of smaller parks as well. So it would be throughout the city in our facilities, but we also have written into the job description that the position could assist some of our community partners and some of other community stakeholders in their events as well. For example, we have the Cinco de Mayo celebration, Juneteenth. Cinco de Mayo, we collaborate with the 23rd Street Merchants. Juneteenth is a collaboration with the city of Richmond, but also Chevron and some other stakeholders. And so this position would be able to assist as needed for those types of functions.
thank you.
I had one other question. Maybe this is like a little too tactical for our role as the board, but I imagine like people in this position might be interested in doing public outreach and stuff. Like we want to hire people who can interact with the public well. And so do you know if there's any plans, or is there a way to like kind of put into the job description that, or I don't know exactly how you would do it, but like any plans to like make this role like kind of visible to the public when they're out there? So it's so that we don't hire people who are interested in interacting with the public and then basically they're on like trash cleanup duty or something, you know, like I could imagine like going to another city and seeing a role like this and like maybe they have a button on or something that says like, ask me.
Oh, yeah,
about
well,
Richmond or, I don't know. But.
you know, if you look at the models in some of our other cities, they are highly identifiable. That's
Okay.
part of their role because they want people to be able to see them and know that they are there to provide assistance. So we will, they will have uniforms. We haven't, identified what that uniform will look like, but there will be a mechanism for them to be identifiable as City of Richmond employees and as persons that are serving in this role.
Okay, that's great.
We can move on to comment. Okay, so we do have a comment from Cordell Hindler.
Thank you. So, good evening again, Chair Warsick, board members. For the record, I am Cordell Handler, and I'm a Richmond resident. So, thank you, Sharon, for this presentation. But the record does show, if you look at another neighboring city, the city of Pinole has a community ambassador that's in the city hall lobby. So, I just want to put that for the record. But as far as the community ambassador program, I said I'm in support of it, but the one thing that I did not see in the draft was like, you got Richmond is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Diverse. So you have to have someone that is like, multilingual. So you got like someone that's like, speaks Spanish and things of that nature. So I'm hoping that can be added into the position. So you got a lot of multilingual ethnicities in Richmond. So that's one. And then the other thing is I looked at the bottom line and said like take photographic and video of the incident. So I'm thinking like everyone has cell phones, and so they can just take pictures of where it was tagged, and then they can send it to the appropriate personnel. And it's like I think it's a good idea that you added in there because that way they can show evidence to prove where it was tagged. And then as far as like beautification, I'm like they will be required like to assist because we have a number of departments like code enforcement, abatement, all that stuff. So I do like the position. So I'm hopefully that either a consultant or inside can like do the recruitment. So I'm hoping that the board will approve the classification with the added bonus of someone that's like multilingual. So that's all I have to say.
I do have one more question. To the point of photography, and the purpose of that. So if you're an ambassador and you're representing and you have visitors to our parks and things, when are you going to have that kind of time to videograph an event that's going on? It's a lot of moving parts. Would that have the ability to have someone else assist with that? Or we're relying on this ambassador? Would they coordinate what is needed for the day? That's a concern.
So the purpose is to make the job description or the duties as broad as possible based on the need. So, again, they may not always be cleaning up blight or looking for tags or even, manning I'm sorry, got a little distracted. Manning a activity, they could be there to do some of our kind of documentation, taking photos. It's important that we have photos of the activities and the residents and things like that. Also, they may take video, as Mr. Hindler stated, of areas that they needed to clean because they see that it's tagged and they need to report it to the Public Works Department so that they can clear it. So we just kind of make it broad enough and include as many as many aspects that we can. It doesn't mean that it is a core job duty.
Thank you for that. That clears up my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing I noticed too is just now is the Richmond Build and Richmond Works reference in here. And so I'm just curious if there's kind of a plan already to use those programs as a pipeline for this?
We are planning on using their programs as a pipeline. They do have job readiness programs that we hope to use as a transition into a paid position.
Great, yeah. And I also want to add that I completely agreed with Mr. Hindler's comment, and I would hesitate to make fluency in English and Spanish like a hard requirement here, but is there a way that we could add like a recommendation or like not even, what's like one step below a recommendation? I don't know, like a desired, I guess.
Yes, it would be a desired qualification,
Yeah,
desirable. So yes, you are correct. We typically don't write that into the job descriptions because we do not want it to be a border or,
Exclusive,
a
yeah.
barrier for people to apply. And usually people will look at that and say, I don't speak other languages, so I won't apply at all. And so what we've done is we usually incorporate that into the job announcement, and we will say that, multilingual is highly desirable, and then we may include in the questionnaire, do you speak other languages? If yes, please denote which ones you speak. So that's how we kind of identify people who can provide those services to our residents without making it a hard requirement.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on the item?
I, Vice Chair Buckner, approve the ambassador job title.
I second.
Voting to establish the classification of community ambassadors, starting with Vice Chair Buckner,
Yes.
Board Member Front,
Yes.
Chair Wizik.
Yes.
The establishment of the classification of community ambassador has been approved.
Thank you.
Moving on, we do not have any unfinished or old business. There is no review and/or issuance of subpoenas. No consideration of problems and reports. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I, Vice Chair Buckner, move to adjourn the meeting.
Chair Warsick seconds.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 6:38 PM. Thank you.
Thank you.